call the meeting to order of the Raleigh Water Board for September 4th, 2018 at 6:30. Old business number 1, discuss job description. You're on me.
Okay, so I took the, Rob, you chime in whenever we can. So I took some material that Rob worked on. I didn't plan on sharing something tonight. First of all, because we had a discussion that comes through what I had done a little up in the air. Secondly, we're meeting tomorrow with Debbie and Dave Patterson and Amy as a kind of like a pre-meeting, so that we can kind of clarify.
Yeah, I told Debbie that you had already been assigned months ago to work on this project, so that we didn't have to vote to do it because we had already done it.
So and at that meeting, so I had a pre-meeting today with Debbie. I wanted to check on a couple of specifics about how the ASME pay schedule works, but also to kind of make sure she understood what we were trying to do, what the ultimate objective is, which is to kind of create a career process so that we would A, be able to attract people from the outside so that starting salaries would be more competitive, and that B, that once we got the appropriately talented person or people into these positions, that they could progress through grade levels, not just wait through seniority, through the yearly increases. And so Rob had been working on the same notion, and he worked up schedules which basically pointed out how people move from operator in training, T1, the lowest level, through a full T1 license, then to operator in training for T2, and then full T2 license.
Yeah, you should be getting compensated as you move up.
Right. So I looked at Rob's schedule, and what struck me was that it made sense for us to give people increases at kind of like a grade increase each time they successfully completed they got their full license. So and that was essentially what Rob had put together, but he put in a separate category placeholder for OIT. But if the OITs, we don't get anything at that point. It's that they just essentially signed up for the training. So we really need to do the licenses. So that was one aspect. The other aspect that I kind of glommed onto from what Rob had put together was that he had, the treatment line and the distribution line. That's those steps, and then a combined step. People have T1 and D1 license at the same.
Right. So it's ultimately where we want the operator to be.
Right. We want people to be able to multitask.
We need them to be able to
and as we're assuming that the licenses basically mean no more than you did if you don't have the license. So assuming that the license is essentially substantive, then we should pay people if they've got more licenses. So that kind of then constructed like a point system was the way I worked it out initially, where you get each license counts as a point. You get a T1 and a D1 license. A T1 license or a D1 license, that's 1 point. T1 and a D1, that's 2 points. And then you can lay those points against the grade level. So the more points you go up, if you get an additional licensing point, you would automatically move from one grade level to the other. So I described that to Debbie, and she recognized what we were trying to do and was basically supportive, and then handed me the agreement that had previously worked out between AFT, the union, and the town, which was the former superintendent's staffing plan. Well, those run counter. You can't have both of those in place. You can't have what we're suggesting and this in place. So that has to be essentially redrafted and renegotiated. So that's essentially where I am at the moment. The additional thing from the discussions I had today with Rob, we invited Bob as well, it was just with Rob, is that we require people to have a CDL license. But we have hired people at the lowest level without a CDL license. Now we're in the position of having hired a previous laborer, didn't have a CDL license, the new laborer has a CDL license, and again, they were starting exactly the same point. So Rob is going to talk to the highway department and find out where they bring their people in. Because if we've got an entry-level person who already comes in with that license, then I don't understand why we don't compensate. We don't pay them the same as the highway department. And that may change the entry point level that we come in at. The one thing I would say that Debbie was not sympathetic to, which is probably what you heard, was kind of blowing up the pay schedule and treating the water department separately. That she's pretty adamant and clear.
No, what I discussed with her is I said she had to understand that when we hire people, if we're hiring somebody with a license, the only way to get a license and to get a full operator license is to work for another town.
Yep.
And we have to be able to, with benefits, be able to offer, let's say, Rob worked for Georgetown. We wanted to hire him. Okay, he's got 6 years in, so he's got 6 years worth of benefits. But coming here, he'd have to be down starting at ground zero.
Right.
That's what I was discussing.
Well, I raised the same issue because in my previous world, if you're good at what you do, you don't need extra vacation. We don't want you off the job. So I'm telling you the reality. At the same time, if you're brand new on a job, you still need vacation time in terms of recuperation and your other life. So our philosophy for benefits was the first day in, you got 3 weeks vacation. And when after 25 years working in the same job, like I was, I also got 3 weeks vacation. It didn't change. There was no.
Yeah, but we're not competing with the private sector.
No, I
we're
understand.
Competing with other towns that.
I understand, but in fairness from the town's perspective, because we shouldn't be. This is kind of contract negotiations. I would rather kind of add more on the front end and put a cap on the back end and have that as the negotiating position. Because 5 weeks vacation, you may love 5 weeks vacation, it used to kill my business. So,
yeah, but the way the towns are, you have to compete with the market. And the market is what you just said, 5 weeks
right,
vacation.
But then the market is also, you start people off with a week's vacation.
Even just to start with, the power to negotiate needs to happen. It doesn't have to be wild swings of extreme low pay rates all the way to the extreme high, but just the power to negotiate. This is what we don't have that right now. And it's really, if it says grade 7 on it, then that's what they're getting paid. Doesn't matter what they have. End of story. That's the way town policy is.
Well, that's because of the way we wrote the job descriptions.
Right.
And I think
that's why we have to correct that.
So what I said to Deb today is the plan is to shorten the job descriptions, standardize the job descriptions in the sense of if you to differentiate the grade levels by something concrete and specific, and not simply this cockamamie job titles which they created, like assistant working foreman, which
it should be operator, primary operator,
exactly.
secondary operator.
And you have subcategories based upon the fact they've got additional licensing.
Like a primary operator with a grade 3, D3, T3 should get paid more than somebody with a grade 2.
So you have, exactly. So somebody, a T2 D1 should earn more than somebody with just a T2. And somebody with a T2 D2 should earn more than somebody with a T2 D2, a D1. And so that you can kind of, we can work out. And I have that matrix. But we've added one more thing, which is that, so if you imagine somebody comes in, they don't have a CDL at the moment, they get their T1 license, and because there are time requirements attached to those licenses, in the intervening time while they're working in the treatment, they also get their CDL license. Well, that raises them up as well. So we just need to define, and I think Debbie would be amenable to this as long as it's concrete and specific and doesn't kind of run flat against something else that's happening to another like group in town, that she's perfectly amenable.
The other thing I stress to her is that our number one priority right now is to get a manager. And we are not even close to being competitive.
Correct.
So that should be number one priority. Let's get a licensed superintendent in here.
Right.
And then the superintendent can work towards the other stuff.
Well, I think that's a matter for us town negotiating. Well, they're doing, so when I raised that issue previously with Debbie, she said, well, we're doing this, we've got a job position consulting.
Yes, you told me that too.
And when I asked her, well, when are we going to get that, when are they going to be done that job? And she said, October. But I don't think she's spoken to any of, she hasn't spoken to me,
She just mentioned that it's...
So we should, I think, tomorrow I will raise that issue with her about we want that superintendent's position to basically move up that next level, depending upon what the consultant basically says, because they're consultants looking at all the department head.
Do you know if Georgetown got a superintendent yet?
They have an interim.
They still have small water systems?
Small water systems, yeah.
So I take the point about starting with the superintendent, but we also have an issue with we need to kind of keep Ryan interested and
I think that the power to be able to negotiate, again, goes back to trying to get a superintendent, because right now it's stuck at one grade, and that's the only thing you can hire him at, the way it's set up.
yeah, and I don't know the personnel law. I'm not familiar with the personnel law, but I can't see why there can't be wiggle room in terms of the advertising of the position. Because you basically say, at the entry level, you would say it's a grade 6 or 7 position depending upon existing licenses. It seems as though it's reasonable common sense.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry we didn't make more progress.
No, you're good progress. You got meeting scheduled, that's good. That's more than we had 2 weeks ago.
So we have the meeting, and so I guess what I'm it's going to help saying that we're reinforcing, whether we make a motion or not, reinforcing the notion that our objectives is to kind of create a career ladder for employees, which gives us, which allows people to move up grades without necessarily having to change the job, which is what it currently is. Because the jobs are
It's going to be extremely uphill battle.
no, but we can't. But it's the only solution to this thing is to do it rationally, which is primary and secondary with levels in between. And we figured out that we need that staffing model is that there are 4 positions have to be in place. That's basically from the Department of Environment. We're still trying to track down the original letter that Mary Beth must have received that legitimated this kind of separation of the treatment and the distribution. But from what Rob
Probably
said,
doesn't exist.
well, that may be, but from what Rob has been asked to and has submitted interim staffing plans to the DEP, and they have been explicit in saying if Rob is the primary on treatment, he can't be the secondary on distribution. Is that accurate?
Yes, very accurate.
So that basically means, even though there's a certain amount of forbearance with us being able to kind of slot in, small water systems people to fill those secondary positions, he can't be on the staffing plan as a secondary. On the other hand, as we worked out, his job description could include, which it doesn't at the moment, could include responsibilities as a distribution operator.
Right. I can be a distribution operator if we need it. I just can't be labeled as the secondary operator for good reasons. So there's not a major main break in town. There's also not, at the same time, a major catastrophe at the treatment plant. They know for a fact you can't be at two
places at once.
Yeah.
So, but it has to be, at the moment, it's really weird because the job description, Rob's job description requires, as a chief water operator, requires a T2, D2 license. But he's not doing any D2.
No, that's not absolutely true.
Well, but he is. But the job, I'm telling you, the job description doesn't say anything except in a kind of a general understanding of the water system. In reality, that job description should include an expectation that he would function as an operator, because that's why we're paying him, basically, because his D2 license. And in a certain sense, that was one of the issues when Mary Beth was asked to do.
Now, my quick question. When you have an operator training license for treatment, can you run the plant?
They can be secondary operator. Yep. Under my supervision, I don't have to be physically in the building, but they do have to be able to reach the primary operator. So yes, if somebody were to have a grapevine OIT, they can legally be listed as a secondary operator and legally run the treatment plant under the primary operator's supervision. Doesn't have to be direct supervision. It does have to be.
So we're 1+ up on that one.
Right, but unfortunately, our job titles, we can't hire them as a secondary operator because our job titles say that they need a grade T2, D2 full, which is the same license that the primary operator needs.
So that's why you're fixing it.
Those are the things that need to be changed, and that we know need to be changed, but we have to kind of line those changes up with the compensation as well, and the grade levels. And so the grade levels are, that pay schedule is more or less fixed.
And the other thing that they got to get out of their head, that this is little old Rowley and we pay less.
Good luck on that one.
Because, like I tried to explain, this is true years ago, but now there's only a limited number of licensed operators in the pool.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to get them is to entice them for whether it's benefits pay, or combination of the two.
Right.
So,
So I'm going to be working now that the summer is gone and all the others.
no more wedding.
No more weddings. We'll work consistently on this. We'll work more consistently on this. I don't think that in order, and this was interesting when Rob sent me the package of information, he also sent me how it translated into the budget, which was a reminder that we can't really do the budget or essentially the rates until we know what mischief, where we are on this. So I'm not averse to talking in principle about the rate study in an open public meeting, but my recommendation would be to come with something very concrete in terms of what we expect those rates to be. But we can't. So it's a set of dominoes that we have, and I'd rather kind of move as fast as we can to get the job descriptions lined up so that we know what the salary, the wage costs are going to be in the plant. The other stuff is going to basically remain more.
And just so you know, it is a negotiation year.
Yes.
So negotiations will be starting
November.
probably, I'm going to say November, December in that area. So we're right on schedule for that.
Yeah, so we should move quickly, so because this draft of the agreement with the union on the staffing plan, that needs to be completely rewritten, informed by whatever changes we want to have.
All right, keep us informed. Anything else?
To OB3, new business 3 rather. Should we move to that?
I assume that's why Mr. Conley's here?
Yeah.
You can do that. I thought he was just tears because he enjoyed our conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he does.
Sure.
See, we don't get visitors very much very often.
I'm not surprised.
Can I say something real quick? I was on scene for this, and Mr. Conley did find the leak and did fix it as soon as possible, very quickly. I just want to note that.
All right, Steve, you're on. What
Okay,
happened?
plead my case.
Yeah.
Most of my lines are, of course, underground, like I guess everybody is. We have dry wells that I can inspect between some of the hydrants. This is the wishing well, and if you go up the hill in front of the barn, there's actually a wishing well with all the shutoffs in it. There was nothing wrong there, but 50 feet away, I had another dry well that had a junction for 2 of the 3 barns. And the barn has been closed for quite a while, and you can see by the usage it was minimal. And then all of a sudden in February it went up quite a bit and got worse for 3 months.
I was going to say, why did it take till April before you decided to
Well,
fix it?
It was in the pit itself, and the pit is designed to drain. I opened the pit, I did not see anything. There was nothing coming up through the ground, which usually gives us an indication where the leak is. And I wouldn't have noticed it well, I guess I would have noticed it, but because there was nobody in the barn and these bills were skyrocketing, I did some exploratory and still was unable to find anything. I called Rob, and he came up right away, and it took us, I don't know, maybe
So when did you call the WaterCom?
when I couldn't explain the water.
Because I'm looking here and it was March, very significant increase. And in February, March would even up even more, and in April, I would have been calling right on February 1st and said, why is my water bill so high?
Well, I couldn't explain it myself, so no, I didn't ask. The 10,000 probably got by me. March, I got a little concerned. In April, it was unacceptable, but I still could not find out where it was coming from. Rob was nice enough to come up and give a look, and I don't think it was clear to them right off the bat where everything was going until we drained the whole pit. And of course, it was a wet season, so the water level's up quite a bit, so we couldn't really see what was going on. But after we drained the pit, I went down into the pit and stepped on the line, and it just exploded. And the valve itself is only about 3 years old, and it was just completely eaten. And as soon as I stepped on it, it was obvious where the leak was coming from. And the line just slit right off from that valve.
So when did you ask for an abatement?
Well, I sent paperwork down to you guys, and then found out after I called that, and it did say it on the form, I'll take full blame for that, that it should have went to Penachuk. My understanding was the abatements come right to the board.
Actually, by the thing, it goes to the water, the water superintendent reviews them first, and if the water superintendent is the one that rejects it first, then you appeal to us, but we don't have a water superintendent, so.
Okay?
I just reviewed the rules the other day just to refresh my memory.
So can I ask a question? Have there been any other abatements on this property in the recent past?
I've put in a total of 4 abatements in the last 20 some odd years, and they've all been denied.
I see no
Date of application, August 3rd. There's a 60-day window, that's why I'm looking at this. From when you knew you had a leak.
Well, I wasn't sure that I had a leak. I thought the horses might have been drinking a little bit more than their share. And if it was coming out of the ground, I would have known I had a leak. But it decided to stay in the ground and not give me any indication where it was.
So the leak was repaired on August 13th. I mean, sorry, April 13th, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
That's I'm looking at your thing. And you filled out this form on August 3rd. That's well in excess of 60 days.
Okay.
I'm in favor of forbearance on that time, and I don't think it's a more timely response would be much better. But given that the leak was repaired in a timely fashion, as opposed to it's a leak had been let.
The leak was let go for 3 months.
That's true.
I wouldn't say it was let go for 3 months. It just was not found for 3 months. And it's not for lack of trying.
Do you have the date that he called?
No, whenever there was I saw a repair slip somewhere in there. he went straight to the plumbing store that day to grab the fittings and returned with the fittings and jumped in the hole and fixed it. So I would say, if you say this is accurate, that whatever was on that receipt.
From the time we found it, it was fixed within 6 hours.
No, I'm not gonna disagree with that one. I'm just saying it was let go to leak for 3 months before you decided to really investigate as to where all the water's going.
If I had an indication that money was pouring into the ground,
But the problem is we have to pay for that money that's going into the ground and treat it, and we have to account for it too.
Right, but I mean, my view is that we're giving a credit against a portion of that 3 months bill. I don't have the exact amounts of the bills for those 3 months. But my recollection of the formula is that you're essentially getting something like a 30% discount.
He's looking for a credit of $1,143.01.
Right, so
and
now
it's already been paid, by the way.
So, well, we appreciate that. So let me just do some. So
If you'd like to postpone this till there's a full board, you can do that too. Let John
chime in.
chime in on this.
Um, Probably the appropriate thing to do because it's not an insubstantial amount of money. Sorry, I'm just doing some math in my head, so I apologize.
This is the policy, so I wrote it, and I highlighted some things just for my reference. But if you'd like to review that again.
Well, I think, and I apologize for kind of dragging this out. I think we should make a motion to delay consideration of the abatement until we have a full board.
Which, just so you won't know, the next meeting I won't be here.
So, which would be to my kind of rhetorical. I would make a rhetorical argument as we're delaying as well. So I don't think I'm on record as being in favour of granting this, but I think that it makes it smart to have the entire board given the amount of money that's involved. So that will be. So I apologise. It'll be 4 weeks. I guess it will be 4 weeks.
Yeah, because the next meeting would be scheduled for the 18th, and I will not be here for that meeting. So you and John will be on your own. And then
So it's the week after, the next one after that.
October 2nd
October 2nd.
will be the next one.
So by the sound of it, if we voted now, it would be split, so we're going to leave the third one. And if we could get the other bills as well for those January, or at least we know the bill for
Okay.
2-1, the 2-3-1, and the 4-2 bills. So let's see what we're talking about. Sorry, do you have a comment, additional comment, or?
I appreciate your consideration.
So it looks like it will be for the second before we...
Do I need to come back, or are you just going to give me a
It's totally up to you. If you want to give your spiel to John when he's here, that's fine. If not,
Well, it was pretty straightforward. The paperwork's been done. I
Yeah.
apologize for taking over the 60 days. But I guess that's the real world. We don't always meet our deadlines.
Right.
mm-hmm. So you want to make a motion to postpone it to
I think
the
I
8th?
made a motion.
Okay, second it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So we didn't say no.
What's that?
I said, so we didn't say no.
That's better than last time. Good luck in your negotiations.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure I can meet the rate if things don't work
I'll
out.
let you know.
4 weeks vacation, a lot less
Aye.
politics. I'll see you. Thanks for your help.
Take it easy, Steve. Would you like a
No,
copy of this?
I remember it. I'm just,
Mhm.
I have copies if you want.
I just keep it with me because I like to refresh my memory before we...
right, but some of these are kind of like, first, there's so many first times because the frequency of abatement requests are relatively limited, and we,
Excuse me, what time is it? I don't
My
know.
other concern is
7 minutes past 7.
My other concern is the first paragraph of the cover letter from Benedict. And then it goes down into the second one.
Yeah, right, well, that may be, I think that's material. So I couldn't, so the mansion addresses is private residence?
It's for the, there's several different accounts up there. This particular one's for the barns, I believe.
Yeah, this is
There's several.
the farm area.
Oh, this is
It's not,
horse farm?
it's not for the nursing home, if that's what you were thinking.
Right, but it's, obviously it looks like it's another commercial enterprise.
Yeah, I can't speak.
It's not a private residence.
I don't know if anyone does live there or not.
You read,
It looks like it feeds barns.
did you read Sarah's email?
Okay, that's what it was just, so, right. Well, that's the interesting part. I mean, you can't get ourselves into trouble if we were attaching one account to the other account in terms of agreeing to an abatement or not an abatement.
I think the 60-day thing is, and not even attempting to fix it for 3 months. But
Yeah, I mean,
new business number one.
I would say that issue is part of, you know, how long, if you can't discover it, you can't discover it. But given the rate, that's basically it's $1,000 a month bill that he's throwing on.
Mhm.
It should be more expeditious than he.
All right, on the new business number one, discuss pre-lien notices, set date and dollar amount. Is that on there for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily since, last year the board, this is from Tara, the board voted on liens being processed for any account that had a balance due of over $100 through September 30th. At that point, a lien letter, pre-lien letter was mailed around the beginning of November to be paid on or before November 1st. For that balance to be charged off the water account and placed on the tax bill. She says this has been in practice for several years with the exception of the dollar amount that was increased last year to 100. So I guess what we have to vote if we're going to mail out those lien letters, and
I would say make a motion to do the same thing we did last year.
Yeah, I mean, so what's the date? I mean, part of this issue that I recall from last year was, shut off. And the timing of this, and the reason why the liens went to the tax bills rather than shut off is because we can't shut water off.
we couldn't get to it we haven't been able to get to it.
No, so now we're at the beginning of September, so we could send out these lien letters at the beginning of October. My question is, at what point in the year?
Well, we have to do it. We have to do this on a town schedule. When they do the liens, they just add it to it. Is what it amounts to, I believe. Am I correct on that?
I believe you are, I'm not
Yeah.
familiar too much.
So we've got two competing.
But you can't have a lien on someone's property and then shut them off. I know that.
Right, so the issue is, what's the date when we can't shut water off after a certain point in the
I know the
year?
Pennet truck knows that date.
November
Where-
15th is the date.
November
November
15th.
15th.
So I'm for getting these letters out in a way that allows us, before they go to lien, to shut them. So it's a two-step process. One, this process is to send stuff to liens. Our normal process
Shut off.
is to shut off. So what do we need to do in order to get people to respond with the consideration of a shut-off as opposed to the lien? So the two separate, I see them as two separate things. So we should send people notices who are delinquent now, make sure we're on top of that, sending out those notices, because we're fast approaching the time when we can't shut off anymore.
So,
And then put this in motion at the same time.
do you mean send the lien notices out at the same time?
Whatever,
Send-
it escaped me exactly what happens in sending out delinquent notices. Those are going, and threats of shut off.
Right, but then you have to either shut them off or we can't have two notices. We can't have, I don't think we can have a notice going out saying you have to pay this by November 1st. Oh, wait a minute.
I would say,
There has to be some kind of a time frame between the time you send out a lien notice and time.
so are we currently sending out demand notices to be paid under the threat of shut off?
We were until, was it last month, Rob?
Probably last month.
Yeah. Well, we weren't because of we had so many main breaks and things like that, we didn't have the manpower to do it.
But we could restart, do we have the manpower now to restart that process?
Probably not, no.
Do we know,
We thought we'd be able to do them the last time for sure, but then everything happened. I mean,
Yeah,
Everything happened.
I can't speak for the primary distribution operator, Bob Gray.
he was out of the building all the time,
Right.
at least.
I tried to say that, yeah, we'd probably be able to, but it's kind of up to him. And last time it's just not, he's way too busy for it to happen.
Well, we have a time schedule we have to follow for the liens for the town. We
Right.
should follow that.
Yes. But we should do whatever we can to reduce the numbers.
In addition to that, we should be sending out shut-off notices.
Correct. So you said it so much more quickly.
So,
I like to be short, sweet people.
So
Is
we
there
need to
any-
talk to Bob and find out, can we get this thing started again?
we can, but he can't even answer as to if it can be executed. Just,
Well, but how many are we talking about at this point?
I don't even know that answer.
Well,
So
we
let's
should
find
do
out.
it anyways and find time.
Yeah, because the problem with delinquents is that you're not doing them any favor because the debts,
Right.
the debts are getting larger and larger and the workouts become basically impossible. So we end up, we just are pushing everything into the lien status. And I'd rather have
It's too,
the revenue earlier.
it's too bad though, because once you give a date for a shut off, you can't just not show to shut off and then show 2, 3, 5 days later, whenever it's convenient
We
for
have to,
us.
we'll hire somebody from Small Water Systems to come in and shoot
No,
our
no, no, I mean, I
shutters.
don't think legally you can do that. That's what Tara had said before. Like you, if they send a notice saying your water will be shut off on December 3rd, then you
Then we-
can't
then
come
if
on
we
December
have-
5th.
If we have to hire Small Water Systems for a day,
Right, we'd have to just.
To come in and do that.
Okay,
Outside.
okay.
as far as I'm concerned, that's what we're gonna do.
All right,
Yeah,
so,
I think we
We have to hire Small Water Systems anyways. You know, we still have them every day, every week.
Every once a week, yeah.
So we have them, maybe have 2 guys come in and go and do that on that particular day, and that's all they do.
Mhm.
That would be my guess. I mean, there's ways around it.
It would certainly be done at that point.
Mhm.
Because just, that's what they're here for, and
That's what they're here for.
yeah. It would have to be, I mean, it doesn't take too much coordination, but it definitely have to be coordinated.
Mhm.
If this is gonna be the date, send some guys down, that's it.
That's how I solve it. If it can't be done in-house because of manpower and time, then we set the date, the small water systems all lined up. If it comes to that everybody is paid up and we don't need them, then there's other things we can find them to do that day.
That's for sure.
Even if they had to go weed whack hydrants or something.
whack the yard.
So, that's my opinion for what it's worth.
So do we need to
Make a motion to that effect.
make a motion to implement, well, first motion would be to implement the lien notices and the timeline laid out by Penachuk, coordinate.
With the treasurer's office.
I'm sorry. To line up with
Have
Penachuk and the
Penachuk
treasurers?
In the town hall, coordinate the times that they need to be done.
To sending out the lien notices for unpaid balances.
I'll second that. In the same procedures last year with $100.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So I'll make a second motion that we
Set the next,
coordinate, we set up a process and identify the resources to send out shut-off notices for delinquent accounts.
second.
Prior to the November 15th, making sure we do it all right before November 15th, or whatever that designated date is for no winter shut-offs.
That would have to be October then, right? Because it would be 30 days.
Should be automatic, should be as soon as possible,
As soon as
as far as I'm
possible.
concerned.
Yeah, start.
Whenever, as soon as it can be started. Because it got skipped over because of issues with having manpower, so, and whenever we can line it up with small water systems,
We got
I would assume 2 people would be enough.
Yep.
I mean, I used to do it with 2 people. And hopefully there won't be that many. But
So that
can't
was
just
my
let it go and go through the winter.
That was my motion, I think we need a vote.
Second it, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So Catherine should just let us know if there's an issue with Pennachuck about getting both of those things set up and done.
I think on the number 4, the large unpaid bills, I think we're pretty much taking care of it anyways. In the regular procedure.
let's see. Yeah, Tara.
I'm sorry, number 2, I'm sorry. I got 2. I had 4 right there. so-
Yeah. So Tara just wanted to know if maybe she could talk to you, Bernie, on a conference call or something, and unless you
Oh,
just.
the adjustment of the, so let's just,
Why don't we table it till this winter and
we'll table this to the next meeting.
To the-
Next full,
full board meeting?
yeah, October. So we can read through this and we
Mhm.
can,
So the October one, John's gonna be here. and
I hope
you'll be
so.
here.
So, and then a motion to table it till the,
I'll make a
October.
motion to table it till the October 2nd meeting. We'll expect a full board.
second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3 we've already done.
So I don't understand.
New business number 4. I went to have them requested them to lift the hiring fees, and they said we didn't vote it at a meeting, so we have to vote it at a meeting.
All right, I make a motion to request the selectmen to lift the hiring freeze to hire an additional laborer 2 position. So
Second.
additional laborer 1 or 2 position. Do we have to be specific?
Labor too, because that's what we need a license. We need to get somebody that can be a license.
I agree.
We don't have
I just wanna-
we don't have a spot funded for a labor 1 position right now.
Okay. The laborer 2 position.
Seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. So you guys have looked at candidates and where are we in this process?
We haven't,
No, because
we
we're
have
not
to advertise.
advertising, yeah. 'Cause it's
We can't advertise until they lift the hiring freeze. So, all right, general business, discuss current and future operations. You have anything, Rob?
I was speaking to one of the well redevelopment companies that are
Mhm.
putting a bid in. So the advertisement is out there for the cleaning of the two well sites. That's basically, I just want to give you guys an update that it's
Okay. So when does the bids due?
They were thinking
Oh, it's
the end of September.
Has it gone out to bid yet?
Yeah, the advertisement's out there. I'd have to look.
There has to be a date set then when they're gonna be.
Yeah, there definitely is one. I don't know off the top of my head, but people are seeing it and they are starting to gather up some bids. You know,
So how late in the season can,
they'll probably be October by the time they really start.
and that's not too late?
It's not too late. No, we will. At that point, the flows will be down. As long as it gets done this year, which it's going to, we'll be fine. We made it through the worst part already.
So how those wells performance declining rapidly or?
Not recently, just overall, they've been declining rapidly. There hasn't been much of a change throughout the past month or two,
Right.
but overall they've been declining pretty rapidly.
So, and as this process goes on, do we lose both sets of wells at the same time?
Well,
or is
we'll
it
start.
one or the other?
What will happen is well 3 will just have to be farled back even more than it is. It should be capable around say 500 gallons per minute. Right now it's doing 250 gallons per minute. And eventually, what I'll do is just keep throttling that, further down and down. Well field 5, we actually have 2 wells that are out right now because it's just the drawing of the water is so significant that the water can't get back into the cases when we turn the pumps on. Each one of those pumps, they're either on or off. You can't really, they don't have VFDs, like what does. I was talking to one of the redevelopers, and he's giving me a suggestion on how I can actually kind of throttle them back without the use of a VFD, if need be. I'll just basically be continuously throttling those down until I get nothing out of them anymore. But they will be redeveloped before we reach that point.
Should be before the end of the year.
Right, but I mean, just in terms of the sequencing, it sounds like wells in field 5 need to be done first, and then well 3. Because that's what I'm trying to.
It's a short distance of time, anyways.
Yeah, I had to.
You're not talking a significant amount of time between one getting done and the other.
Right.
Is it going to come
I think we want to start with well 3.
That's your bigger producer because it's a single well.
We get that. Yeah, it's a single well. We can get them in there and get them out.
And you can bring that back up to 400 gallons a minute.
And then work on well 5 because the whole field will have to be shut off. We can't just use
We're
like
talking
just the one.
6 individual wells, they're
Right.
smaller ones.
All right.
It'll take longer. So if we have one fully restored well during that, it'd be.
That's the way I do it.
All right. All right. And do we expect them to kind of make that recommendation, or we tell them?
I'll talk to them about it. I'm sure they're very professional.
It's a business, and the engineers should have it set up too, with how it's done. Anything else, Rob?
I think that's it for now.
So is well 2 functioning?
100%.
Remember, we said this was supposed to be done to well 2 last year, and they replaced the pump instead.
Right, no, I just making sure that if we shut down any of those wells, that there's enough water from well 2.
We have actually had to run well 2 on its own, just doing maintenance at the plant, and it did fine even on a very, very hot and high usage kind of day. It definitely runs a lot longer than it should, but there's not too much equipment there that can fail. There's equipment that can fail, but not as much as the treatment plant. It really can run for a long time and not break a sweat.
Right, because the first part of the summer we had plenty of rain. The last couple of weeks or so.
It's getting drier. It doesn't seem to really affect well 2 as much as it would in these wells out here.
Just for an FYI, I don't know if you've been on or not on the website for the flow of the Parker River. It actually came up above our having a water ban criteria, but as it hit the 7th day, it went back down again.
7 consecutive days.
Yeah, it's 7 consecutive. It hit the 7th day, it went back down because we had all that rain and it went back down. Because the criteria for right now is 6 cubic feet per second, a minute, or whatever.
6 cubic feet per second for.
7
it has to be more than that
for 7 consecutive days, which we were just about hitting, and then, like I said, then it dried up again.
But we have the power to implement our own water ban. We could officially, with the DEP, take the restrictions off, but we have the power to continue with the water ban as we so fit. Yeah. Especially if we have a bunch of wells.
But we can by calendar, no matter where it's at, we can eliminate it on the 30th of September.
Okay.
We can choose not to if we have other issues.
Depends if that's is it Florence that hits us? Plenty of rain.
Anything else? Anything, Bernie?
I don't. Nope.
Minutes? Do you have a chance to read?
I did read the minutes, actually. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Did you say aye?
Yes, I did.
I know you said say aye, but...
Well, close enough. Aye.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thanks very much, Rob.